Dust cloaks the city sky like a heavy shroud. A sharp bark pierces the air, urgent, alert, commanding. Amid the chaos of shattered concrete, Ryan Parker, an American rescue officer, tightens his grip on Max's leash, his eyes scanning the broken remnants of a once thriving city. Little does he know, beneath his feet, fate is calling his name. 4 days ago, a devastating 7.7 magnitude earthquake tore through a bustling Asian metropolis. Over 2,000 lives lost, hundreds of buildings reduced to rubble, thousands left homeless under open skies. For those still trapped beneath the debris, hope is fading fast. In the midst of this turmoil, international rescue teams pour in from across the globe. Among them is Ryan Parker's unit, a 27-year-old American known for saving animals in disasters before turning his focus to human lives. After pulling a family from floodwaters, he vowed to himself, "No life is without value." By his side is Max, a sleek black Belgian Malinois, swift and fiercely loyal. Max isn't just a partner, he's Ryan's second set of eyes, ears, and heart in the face of danger. Today, in a neighborhood that once buzzed with life, Ryan and Max lead the search through collapsed apartment blocks. Aftershocks still rumble beneath their feet, each step a gamble. Yet they press on, through megaphone calls for silence, through the grinding roar of concrete cutters. "Max, search!" Ryan commands, his voice steady but low. Max surges forward, nose skimming the ground, ears twitching with focus. Ryan doesn't know it yet, but deep within a tangle of steel and stone, a young woman is clinging to her final breaths. Her name is Charlotte Evans, and in the moments to come, Ryan, Max, in a single act of courage, will bind two strangers' lives forever. Charlotte Evans stands by the window of her boutique hotel in the city's heart. Her brown hair is tied back neatly, her green eyes tracing the flow of people below. Dressed in a simple white blouse and soft black pants, she bears no trace of the heiress to a billion-dollar fashion empire across the Pacific. She didn't come to this Asian city to sightsee, she came to escape. As the only daughter of Edward Evans, a titan controlling much of America's high-end fashion industry, Charlotte was raised in wealth but caged by expectations. From childhood, her path was set. Inherit Evans couture, become a global icon. But Charlotte craved more than empty cocktail parties and $1,000 gowns she never chose. She yearned for freedom, to make a difference, to use fashion to uplift the less fortunate. She lied to her family, to the press, to the world. She wasn't here to survey Asian markets, as the latest headlines claimed. She came to work with a nonprofit, designing and sewing clothes from recycled fabrics for homeless children. That day, Charlotte was preparing for a meeting with the organization. She'd just tucked away her final sketch when the floor trembled beneath her. The glass of water on the table quivered. The chandelier above swayed. A low, persistent hum rose from the walls. Charlotte froze. She'd read about earthquakes, but never felt one. Then the building lurched violently. Windows shattered, glass raining down in a cacophony of crashes. A painting slammed to the floor. A scream tore through the room next door. Grabbing only her phone, Charlotte bolted for the emergency stairs. But as her hand grazed the railing, a deafening roar erupted above. The hallway collapsed. A massive slab of concrete crashed down, sealing her from escape. She was trapped. Darkness swallowed everything. A sharp pain shot from her right leg up her spine. She tried to move but could only shift inches. No light, no sound, just her ragged breaths and the frantic thud of her heart. Charlotte didn't know if she'd live or die. But one thing was certain, no matter how powerful her father was, he couldn't find her here. Alone, terrified, and waiting. Smoke and dust choke the city's sky. Cries echo through jagged piles of concrete. An entire downtown block lies in ruins. A vibrant city, now a gray, anguished wasteland. Among the debris, Ryan Parker moves with purpose, his boots crunching over broken stone. His weathered rescue gear is streaked with dust, sunglasses perched on his forehead. Beside him, Max, his gray-furred Malinois, sniffs relentlessly, nose pressed to the ground as if drawn by instinct. Ryan's team arrived on an early flight, part of the International Rescue Force. After a quick handshake with local crews, they dove into the chaos. No time to rest, no time to fear. The golden 72 hours have passed, but Ryan trusts Max's nose and the faint chance of miracles. "Max, check," Ryan calls. The dog bounds toward a heap of rubble that was once a boutique hotel. Locals point to the site, saying they heard sobs at dawn, but silence has reigned since. Ryan crouches, studying a structural map, a 5-story building. If someone's trapped near the stairwell, as victims often are, there's still a chance, unless they're crushed. Suddenly, Max barks sharply, leaping onto a massive concrete slab, pawing frantically. Ryan rushes over, hope flaring in his chest. He kneels beside Max, ear to the surface. Then, a sound so faint it feels like a dream. 3 slow taps. "Someone's alive!" Ryan shouts to the team behind him. Instantly, they roll in concrete cutters, dust shields, and hydraulic lifts. Beneath the rubble, Charlotte lies still, her breath shallow. She hears the bark. A sliver of light pierces a crack above. With fading strength, she raises a hand, tapping 3 times, each one a plea. Hope flickers like a spark in the dark. "Don't sleep, girl. I'm coming," Ryan murmurs, as if to himself. After nearly 40 minutes, they carve a narrow path. Ryan crawls through first. He sees her, face streaked with grime, lips cracked, but her eyes flicker open at his voice. "I'm Ryan. You're gonna be okay," she whispers, barely audible. "I knew you'd come." Ryan shrugs off his jacket, wraps her bleeding leg, and gently lifts her out into the dust-choked sunlight. Max lets out a single, triumphant bark. They found life. The field hospital sprawls across a damaged school soccer field. White tarps stretch over the turf, packed with cots and the sharp scent of antiseptic mixed with lingering smoke. The earthquake's shadow still grips the city, and for Charlotte, so does the memory of those eyes. Ryan's eyes, steady and sure, as he pulled her from the wreckage. She wakes to the hum of a creaky fan in the glare of fluorescent tubes. Her right leg is splinted, wrapped in white, aching but not life-threatening. She asks a nurse about her rescuer. A curt reply, "A foreign rescue guy with a dog. Ryan, I think." Charlotte bolts upright, heart racing. She digs through her recovered backpack, pulling out a small handmade scarf she'd sewn for a street kid. With deft stitches and faded thread, she'd embroidered, "Thank you for seeing me." Nothing felt more fitting for the man who found her in the ashes. That afternoon, she hobbles to the nearby relief camp, the mobile command hub for international teams. The sky is gray, wind whipping up dust, but she spots Ryan instantly, crouched by a utility truck, checking its tires. Beside him, Max laps water, tongue out but eyes sharp. Charlotte approaches slowly, nerves tight. She holds out the scarf, voice soft. "Ryan, this is to say thank you." He looks up, caught off guard. For the first time, he sees her awake, her face clearer beneath tangled hair and an oversized hospital shirt. He takes the scarf, hesitating. "Are you feeling okay?" "Just a minor fracture. Thank you." "And Max?" She glances at the dog, smiling. "You're from the States?" "Yeah, here with the international crew." Ryan answers quickly, starting to turn away, but pauses when she lingers. He sighs. "Sorry, I'm prepping for the next safety sweep." Charlotte nods, stepping back. "No worries, but if you ever have a minute for tea, I owe you a cup." Max suddenly wags his tail, trotting over to nudge her uninjured leg. Charlotte laughs. Ryan glances at Max, then her, surprised. "Looks like Max already said yes for me." She smiles faintly and walks away, leaving Ryan holding the scarf, a simple piece of cloth carrying more than gratitude. He doesn't know why he watches her fade into the distance. All he knows is, in a city drowning in sorrow, something small but real has just begun. The next morning, Charlotte shows up at the relief camp, leaning on crutches, her old white blouse creased and worn. No one guesses she's an American heiress. She makes sure of that. She volunteers to help serve food to kids in the tent city. Amid their giggles and the whispers of homeless mothers, Charlotte feels truly alive. Ryan watches from a distance, his face stern. He doesn't trust outsiders meddling with his team's work, especially a patient still healing. But Max has other ideas. The dog bounds towards Charlotte as she carries a tray of rice porridge, tail wagging like he's found an old friend. She kneels, whispering, "Hey, Max, missed me?" Ryan steps over, ready to pull Max back, but Charlotte speaks first. "I brought some food for Max. Can I?" He hesitates. Rescue dogs don't eat random stuff. "Homemade, boiled chicken, steamed carrots, no spices." She holds up a cloth bag. "I had a dog back home. His name was Basil." Ryan eyes Max, then nods slightly. "Just this once." Over the next few days, Charlotte settles into the camp's rhythm. She tends to kids, folds blankets, helps nurses log missing persons. Even on crutches, she never stops. Ryan notices she doesn't complain. Not once. Not even when the heat soars or the ground trembles. She learns basic commands for Max, helping the team check tents. One afternoon, Charlotte sits stitching a shirt from recycled fabric by a tent's edge. The bright cloth stands out against the muddy ground. Ryan, curious, walks over. "What's that?" "For a little girl, made from an old dress I found in that tent pile. Kids deserve something new, even if it's just a feeling." He sits beside her, his guard down for the first time. "You don't seem like a typical volunteer." "Not everyone's like you either. What did you do before rescue?" Ryan gazes into the distance. "Animal rescue. Once I saved a family trapped in a flood. Mom, dad, kid, and their dog. Their eyes, they made me realize I should save people." Charlotte looks up at him. "You and Max, you're like two halves of one heart." A warm silence stretches between them. The sky softens to lavender, the breeze stirring the tarp. They sit side by side, no need for more words. As she leaves, Charlotte glances back, smiling. "If I ever make Max a dust-proof vest, would you let me measure him?" Ryan shrugs. "As long as you don't poke him with a needle." Max barks once, as if to say, "Deal." And just like that, a quiet bond is stitched together between a man, a woman, and a dog, woven with simple, honest care. On a damp morning, as the relief camp stirs awake, Ryan and Max patrol the tents when a teammate hands him a phone. "You need to see this." On the screen, a viral headline screams, "Billionaire's daughter Charlotte Evans secretly volunteering at Asian Quake Camp." Below it, a photo of Charlotte, in plain clothes, petting Max. A tourist snapped it by chance. Ryan freezes. Charlotte appears, balancing a crate of porridge. Seeing his face, she stops. "What's wrong?" Ryan holds up the phone. "This you?" She sets the crate down, nodding silently. "Ryan, I was going to tell you. I just didn't want what?" His voice sharpens. "Didn't want me to know you're heir to a billion-dollar fashion empire? Or didn't want me to see you differently?" Charlotte steps back. "I just wanted to be real. Not someone's daughter, but me." "You hit it." He tosses the phone onto a wooden table, his warmth gone. "Out here, I need trust. You came as a teammate, but you wore a mask." Charlotte clenches her fists, fighting to stay calm. "I was scared. If you knew from the start, you wouldn't let me in." Ryan turns away, voice low. "And you think this changes anything?" A heavy silence falls, thick as the dust after a collapse. That afternoon at the command tent, Ryan hands the team leader a roster. "I want Miss Evans off the support crew. She's doing great work. We need people who don't hide things," Ryan says firmly, eyes fixed on the paper. Charlotte hears the news and quietly packs. Before leaving, she visits the kids' tents, giving out shirts she'd sewn through the night. "I'm going away for a bit. Stay warm, okay?" Max, sensing something, whines softly as she passes, then barks a mournful note. Charlotte kneels, hugging him tightly. "Thanks for saving me." She rents a small room in the city. She doesn't return to America. Instead, she contacts a local charity to keep helping. On her own terms, no family name, no rescue team. She starts from nothing. On her blog, she writes, "I thought love needed secrets to be valued, but truth is the only thing that holds a heart." Outside the camp, Max sits quietly by Ryan. Under the fading sunset, Ryan looks to the sky, wondering for the first time, what have I lost? News of heiress Charlotte Evans volunteering in a disaster zone floods Western headlines. Fashion magazines churn out sensational titles, while mainstream outlets praise her noble humanitarian act. But for Edward Evans, her father, a global fashion tycoon, it's an unforgivable scandal. 3 days after the story breaks, a private jet touches down at the city's airport. Edward, 57, commanding with every glance and step, is whisked to Charlotte's modest hideout. Her tiny room is bare, a sewing machine, scraps of fabric, clothes for poor kids strewn about. Edward doesn't look around. His eyes lock on his daughter. Do you have any idea what you're doing, Charlotte? She lifts her gaze from her sketch pad, calm but unflinching. I do. I'm living my own life. Here, his voice drips with disbelief, in a city reeling from an earthquake, among hundreds of homeless, with some penniless rescue worker you barely know? Charlotte stands, her eyes flashing with quiet fury. I know him better than any of the elites you forced me to meet my whole life. Edward slams a dossier onto the table, a background check on Ryan Parker. He's got nothing but a dog, a few years of rescue work, and a startup that's barely funded. You think a man like that can offer you a future? Charlotte's voice hardens. Courage, kindness, respect, things your money can't buy. Edward doesn't hide his scorn. So you'll throw away everything I've built for a good guy? That's naive. Silence stretches, heavy and taut. Then Charlotte steps forward, her voice soft but resolute. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm choosing to be who I want, not a product of Evans Corporation. I love Ryan, not because he's perfect, but because he's real. Edward grips his briefcase, his gaze icy. If you don't come back to America, if you keep entanglement with him, I'll cut every charity grant, freeze your accounts, and remove you from the company board. Charlotte smiles, but tears brim in her eyes. Then do it. I'll walk this path, alone if I have to. Edward turns to leave, but pauses at the door. You'll regret this, and when you do, don't come crawling back. The door shuts. Charlotte sinks to the floor, her head against the sewing machine. But hours later, she stands before a mirror, wipes her tears, slips on a hand-stitched shirt, and whispers to herself, no one gets to decide my worth, not even Dad. From that day, Charlotte pours herself into Clothes for Hope, a small line of garments for earthquake victims, sold to fund tents and medicine. She's no longer the billionaire's daughter. She's a woman standing on her own. Since Charlotte left, the relief camp feels strangely hollow. Ryan says nothing, just buries himself in work. Max, his loyal rescue dog, seems quieter too, his joyful barks replaced by soft sighs. Each night, Ryan sits in his tense corner, staring at the scarf Charlotte made him. Its tiny stitches aren't just a gift, they're proof of genuine care. But he pushed her away, driven by shame and insecurity. One evening, he stumbles across Charlotte's blog post, "The day I saw light in the rubble." She writes, I met a man with nothing but a steadfast heart and a loyal dog. They didn't save me for who I was. They saved me because I was someone who needed to live. Ryan's throat tightens. She never judged him by his roots. He was the one chaining himself to old fears. The next morning, he submitted his resignation from the International Rescue Team. Despite his teammates' protests, Ryan knows it's time. Not to win Charlotte back, but to overcome himself. He moves to a small industrial zone on the city's outskirts, chasing a dream he's held for years, a device to detect life signs in rubble, blending biosensors with rescue dog training techniques. With his meager savings, Ryan rents a rundown warehouse and teams up with a local engineer, a former firefighter. Max becomes the first test subject, patiently aiding Ryan's mock disaster drills. The early months are brutal. Machines fail, sensors glitch, funds dwindle, and no one trusts an American ex-rescue guy with no cash. But whenever Ryan falters, he looks at Max, those unwavering eyes that never quit. We saved Charlotte once, now we save ourselves. One night, after the 37th tweak to the device, a sharp beep cuts through, a bio signal from a dummy victim. Ryan leaps up, hugging Max, tears streaming unchecked. "We did it!" The victory is short-lived. Money runs dry again. But 6 months in, a non-profit rescue group tests the system. In the demo, it works flawlessly. They sign the first contract. Ryan doesn't cheer. He stands in his tiny workshop, arms crossed, watching Max wag his tail. For the first time in months, he smiles. He's no longer the poor kid no one believed in. He's a man creating something real. One crisp autumn afternoon, a soft knock echoes through Ryan's small workshop. He looks up from a blueprint, but before he can move, Max bolts to the door, barking, not in warning, but in pure joy. The door swings open, and there stands Charlotte, hair tied back, holding a small box, her smile as gentle as ever. "Hey, Ryan, I heard you made it." He freezes. She doesn't dwell on the past, just meets his gaze with the warmth he's missed every night. "I brought some prototype designs, lightweight fire-resistant jackets made from recycled fibers. They might work with your gear." Ryan takes the jacket, tracing its seams. Then he looks at her, not with shame, but gratitude. "I was wrong, not because you hide who you were, but because I didn't believe I was enough." They sit over tea, the hum of a 3D printer filling the quiet. They don't linger on old wounds, just share the present. Ryan's company has pilot contracts with rescue groups. Charlotte's working with a local charity to create disaster relief clothing. A week later, their joint project launches. Biosensor integrated jackets. Light, agile, biodegradable in 3 years. A blend of humanity and tech. The press takes notice, but fame brings a tempest. A tabloid screams, "Billionaire's daughter funds ex-lover's startup. From rescue to PR stunt." Social media erupts. Anonymous accounts claim Ryan's using Charlotte for cash. Old allies of her father, Edward, fan the flames, calling it a fluffy romance ploy. Ryan's furious but holds back. Charlotte doesn't. She goes live online. "We don't need anyone to bankroll our names. I work with Ryan because he does what's right, not because he loves me, but because he loves others. And Max, he's in on it too." The video racks up millions of views. Netizens shared it with captions. "This woman doesn't need wealth. She's already rich in heart." Ryan releases his company's finances. Transparent, clean. He states, "I didn't succeed because I knew Charlotte. I succeeded because I failed first." The storm subsides. But through it all, Charlotte and Ryan care about one thing. They found each other, not in the spotlight, but in the trust of those they've helped survive. By year's end, Ryan and Charlotte's project soars beyond dreams. Their life-detecting jackets ace a test during a South American landslide, locating 12 survivors. Global media dubs it a humanitarian revolution, blending tech and fashion. Charlotte's invited to speak at a global conference on community design. Ryan's asked to keynote a rescue tech forum. They're no longer the billionaire's daughter or the poor rescuer. They're two souls who rose from ruins, forging real impact. One early winter day, as Ryan inspects a new sensor printer in his workshop, Max barks softly. Charlotte walks in, with a man in a black cashmere coat, silver hair catching the light. Edward Evans. The air grows heavy. Ryan steps forward, standing tall, unflinching. Edward scans the space. A tidy production line, neat blueprints, Max resting calmly by the door. This isn't the broke rescuer from the rubble anymore. It's a man of vision and grit. "You're the first man I've ever been wrong about," Edward says, his voice low but not cold. Ryan stays silent. "I thought you were a gold digger. Now I see. You didn't need Charlotte's money. You just needed a chance." He turns to his daughter. "He's done what I never could, turned pain into kindness." Edward takes a deep breath. "If you choose this path, I won't stand in your way. I only ask to help." Charlotte hugs her father, for the first time in years without anger. Ryan steps up, extending a hand. "I don't need funding, I need respect. And a thank you." Edward shakes his hand, firmly. Soon after, Edward invests in Charlotte's charity, building sewing centers for women displaced by disasters, offering jobs and training. Part of the profits funds Ryan's free rescue dog academy. In the first snow, Ryan and Charlotte walk Max through the new industrial park. From a tiny workshop, they've grown a hub for rescue tech, training interns from across the globe. Charlotte squeezes Ryan's hand. "You're not the poor rescuer anymore." He smiles faintly. "No, I'm still the guy who was poor, but now I'm not alone." They look to the horizon, where a new school stands complete. Its gate reads, "The Max Center for those who never gave up." A year later, spring bathes the once ravaged land in sunlight. Where rubble once lay, green fields now bloom. A small garden rises on the old evacuation site, white daisies and purple lavender swaying gently. Here, a simple wedding unfolds. No gowns, no red carpet, just pure love. Ryan wears a gray suit, a tiny badge of Max's silhouette pinned to his chest. Charlotte, in a white dress made from recycled fabric she designed, walks between rows of children, kids she once clothed at the relief camp. Max, radiant and proud, wears a flower collar, leading the Apocalypse Bride, as tabloids once called her after the quake. On a bamboo dais, Edward stands as a father, not a tycoon, smiling beside Sarah. The officiant is not a priest, but an elderly local Ryan pulled from the rubble. His voice trembles. "Thank you for staying, for forgiving instead of resenting." Charlotte looks at Ryan. "The world may still crumble, but with you, I have a home." Ryan squeezes her hand. "I used to live to save others. Now I live to build something with you." Applause rises, gentle like a soft wave. No celebrity performances, just kids' laughter, Max's barks, and a cake baked with local ingredients gifted by villagers. Weeks later, Charlotte shares her pregnancy. They name the baby Max to honor the four-legged hero who brought them together. Ryan and Charlotte established the Max Rescue Dog Academy, free for kids and teens in disaster zones. They also fund the Charlotte Evans Scholarship to empower aspiring designers without financial means. At their school's first open house, Ryan stands before the kids, his voice steady. "Success doesn't start with fame. It starts with a heart that won't quit and a dog who can sniff out life in the rubble." TV cameras capture the moment. A top comment under the clip reads, "From love and kindness, they build a new world." True love transcends loss, healing the deepest wounds. If you've ever fallen, don't fear. Get up. Somewhere, someone, or a dog is waiting to find you.